Okay, so last time we went through the setting our site up and the folders and added the header and the main and the footer. You have an image or a logo image that you created. We added the nav bar, maybe only 3 navigation elements is all. We created a new style sheet that affected the whole HTML document. I think we added 32 pixels around the header, styled the little image a little bit. The body, we centered, so did auto left and right margins to center it. I'm just remembering a few things anyway. The logo, I think we did a little styling with that one too. And then we styled our navigation bar so that it went in a horizontal manner in a larger screen, and then back to a vertical manner in a smaller screen. And I've got a couple little screenshots. These are from, and I brought them on screen to help Chloe out today, so you don't need to do anything with those. They were just kind of getting most of what we did here, but I'm not sure if all of it's there. Anyway, so then a couple little recordings there. So for this week, we've already done a little bit. So for file management, we created our website root folder, and we created the assets, student drive, meaning your drive that you're sitting on right now. In Dreamweaver, we set up the new site. Remember, site, new site, named it, navigated to the root folder and the images. We created index. Within index, we created, the sections. Basically, you've got a little bit of information on there. I think you already did some Photoshop work for your image, the logo. And again, you'll probably have a mobile size logo, maybe a tablet size, maybe a desktop size, or maybe 2. So I'll let you decide that. And you'll also need to work on, so whether again it's your main banner image, so eventually we're going to have to provide time here in class so that you work on Photoshop and get your images kind of figured out. And so there is a requirement that you need to have, some sort of image. You've got your image already for your mobile telephone size. You probably have something that you're going to create for tablet and above. Most likely you'll have images that are within your website. You need at least 2. I'm sure you'll have way more than 2, but that's kind of the minimum. You'll want to save them in PSD format in the beginning so that you can go back if necessary and you want to change them. So be sure that you have that somewhere. And then of course it'll have to be a JPEG, GIF, or a PNG in order to work with your online website. We've created our index already. So we're kind of in the middle of creating something that's going to look like all of our other pages, at least in some form. And then we're going to save our index model to our other pages so that we have something kind of a skeleton to work from. And that's really what's described here. We've kind of already done a lot of that. We've got a little bit of cascading style sheet. We have our little header area, our nav element, our main, although not much is in main. That's what we'll work on today. And then footer, you may put a little bit in there, maybe contact information or something like that. So every page will look the same. And we've done the insert image. So we'll work with some practice documents and boxes and such. So there's a document called 4 boxes, and I'll go ahead and open that. And honestly, I've run into, so this we already did, by the way. Here to, is it to that? Yeah. I think we only got, we did here. Yeah, did we do a media query? We did do one, didn't we? We'll go back into Dreamweaver here in a second. Anyway, some of this we've already done. So before class, to prepare, so I always go through and make sure my assignments are all good to go. Well, I've run into a technical problem. So, and from last year, or last semester when I did this, I can't find where I'm doing anything different. So, yeah, it's really odd because then I found my last semester assignment and called it up, and I'm not seeing anything different, but it behaves. So obviously I've got something, it's probably something very small, and it could be a space, you know how that goes. A space, a missing semicolon, it's something. But anyway, we'll continue working on this file itself. So that's where we're at in the Moodle shell. And I don't need these right now. I don't need that right now. So go ahead and open up Dreamweaver. And it probably remembers where you were. So we in general, again, we've got our HTML document. Inside the head content, you've got some sort of a title. We did the viewport, keywords, description, linking to your style sheet, whatever your style sheet is called. If you ever rename that style sheet, it's going to have to be renamed in your hyperlink reference at the top. In the body, we don't have much, but we have a little header that has one row and one column, so it's basically one cell. And there's a picture of whatever you have, your logo in there. We added a little bit of alt text there. And then also within that header, we added a tiny little navigation. And again, we don't have much, but one link to home. You might have an about us, you might have a contact, something like that. And we styled it. I'll go through the style here in just a minute. And then in main, we really don't have anything. We just have garbage text and garbage text for the footer. You know, when you create those sections, it comes with garbage text. So in your style sheet, we did do a couple of media queries. So for our navigation list, the unordered list, and for the list items, we told it at 768 to be inline, to display inline block. In other words, it's going to be on a row instead of vertically horizontal. And I can see that by going to my styles. You'd go to your styles, and I'm at my min width of 768, and then there should be a style nav for your unordered list item. To do a quick check of what the settings are, you can just click the little show set checkbox. Okay, so that's why these little guys appear horizontal. At my min width of 992, we did for our whole navigation, we told it just to float right. So at my big screen, I
don't have that media.
The media query?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can go to, go ahead and click just off of anything for right now, and then click one time on your style. So then basically nothing's highlighted. And then you want to go to the plus sign on media, by the way, plus sign on media. And then it's a query for min width. You're adding a media query for min width. And then you just fill in the 768. And then OK to that. And then for that, you'll add a selector. So you'll probably see this here. And then we'll plus sign for adding a selector. And then call it dot style. And are your nav elements, is it a hyphen or an underline? Okay, so you do the same thing. And then unordered list item. Question?
Yeah, it's showing me that it was. I wonder if it's a missing one.
So go.
And when I changed it, it changed the name of that page.
Oh, there's two of them. You don't need that one.
Oh,
Okay. The other thing is not going to like all that. Should just be. That one. I wonder if it wasn't finding, so you know how I had browsed to assets just a second ago? I wonder if that's why. Okay, so,
yes, I noticed it's still not precise in the logo.
and then you won't want the PS2 one. So that's, so there's a, would it be two? The one. I wonder if that should be two. And then you can take that off. I would probably call it up in Photoshop and first of all, figure out if it's 2 or 1. You can do a file save all, and see if that. Yeah, so that's kind of the least of your worries right now. We can fix that.
Well, it's just wondering if it's not up.
Is that one even bigger there? No, mine was doing the same thing. You know, I had that logo in there and it wasn't even showing my logo. It could be that it's not updating for us for whatever reason, whether it's wireless or the program. I don't know. You can close it and try it and see if it's coming back in. And that might refresh it. That's kind of what happened with why my logo showed up. But yeah, there are some kind of some issues. Oh, it does? So it was just closing and coming back in. Yeah. This little guy here too, in Dreamweaver, do you guys have the 7.6? Oh, and then do you need to add that other media query? Sorry, I left you. So did you get the inline block for display? So that is, if you look at Style Nav, it's in your first block, and you can go to that just layout area, and you'll see display, and then you'll want to click here, and then just choose inline block. So it's the very first little layout block, and in properties you should see display, and then you'll choose inline block.
Properties.
Yep, are you able to see properties?
Yeah, I am, but nothing opens.
Oh, you can uncheck show set. Yep, and then see a little bit down. You might want to close the assets just to give yourself more space. Yeah, and those notes too. Okay, and you could bring that up a little, double-headed arrow. Yep. And then there's your display. You click in the little box there, and then inline block. Okay, so the 768 is inline block, and we may have to do a file save all to up. It looks weird.
Yeah, it's over.
And we'll check some of our other settings. So as we continue on, we'll check some more. And then do you have a min width 992?
Yeah.
Okay, so the min width 992, there's one style called just plain old dot style hyphen nav. Do you have that one? If you click on the min width 992, there's no styles. Okay, so you'll add a selector plus sign, and then call it dot style hyphen nav is all. So dot style hyphen nav.
Oh, wait a second. That's probably about 3 times now.
Oh, okay, so there's min width. Oh, and you can minus those out. So minus. Okay. There's your 992. We'll add a selector. And then dot style hyphen nav. And then enter key, and you have to enter key again. Okay, so the only property there, and when you go to properties, this will be, and I'll scroll, make sure you uncheck show set so that you see all of them. And as you scroll down, you should see float. It's kind of below the padding and the position and da-da-da-da. So float, you'll click the little one that says right. Yep. So then the only thing for show set, if you click show set, is just the float right. Is that right then? There. Yeah. And then click show set. Oh, uncheck that. I wonder if maybe so click scroll down just a little bit. Click the right one. Now it did it, I think. Yeah, I don't know why it wasn't doing it before, but now it is. Global, so let's go check our global. And we'll just look one by one. Okay, so let's check our global properties too and just make sure that they're all good to go. So again, just to check every single one, and we can go to our styles themselves, but we can also check on our panel. So just first of all, begin by clicking your style. So in my case, it's CG style. And then I want to click global. So do you see global, everybody? Okay. Click global, the very first one. So in my selectors, I've got quite a few here, and we'll just go one by one. If I click the HTML asterisk, And then make sure you have a check. So show set, when you see that little check mark, you want to go ahead and do a check mark on this one. What that means is that all the settings that you've identified are all that's going to be shown at this point. So if I uncheck show set, then I can go back. I've got that whole huge list, and I can go recheck them and find them. If I check show set, it's only going to give me just a few, just the few I've changed. So what we've changed, the first one should be box sizing is equal to border box. So box sizing, border box. Okay. Margins, I did 0 px all the way around. Padding, I did 0 px all the way around. Okay. Whoops, font family, you can pick. That's it. Okay. Is that so far so good? Okay, then let's go to header. And again, the same thing here. I've checked my little show set guy. I've got padding of 32 pixels all the way around. Is that good so far? Okay. IMG, remember that's my image. Okay. My image width is 100%. My image height is auto. And my max width is 100%. And my vertical align is middle, and that's it. So far, so good? Okay, my body. What I did here, I'm trying to center the content within the window, and I've got margin auto left, margin auto right, top and bottom is nothing. So really the only thing there I did was auto left and auto right. Okay. Style logo. Now yours may differ a little bit. My maximum width for the dog is 101 pixels. So whatever your pixel definition is, and that's going to be based on your image. Okay, so you'll choose that. And then I'm displaying him in a block format. So just block. And again, my margins are auto left and auto right. So my max width is whatever your image would be. Display block. Margin left of auto, margin right of auto. Is that not right? Okay, so that would be your style logo. Oh, you might want to, let's close this hole. So see that little guy there? Close tab group. It's hard to see. You're probably having a really hard time seeing even what's there. So body, we do need to uncheck that. We need a little bit down. We want margin auto left. And I would just click on the, oh wait, yes, we'll actually go there. Sorry. Yep. And then at the top is auto. And then that one we pick, and then auto. Okay. And then that should be it. Show set. That should be, yep. And then style logo, the size, the display, auto left, auto right. That's perfect. Okay. Okay, then, so this is where we start styling our navigation. Okay. So the next one I have down is style nav unordered list. And this is for my phone. This is global, remember, okay? So this is what's going to show up when it's just phone to tablet. And all I did was text align center and list style type of none. So this affects the unordered list itself, not the LIs yet, the unordered list. Okay? So just text align center, list style type of none. List style type is that bullet. Okay, and then I go to my list item. This is where I want my, so style nav unordered list item. And I'm going to display in block format. Block is going to be vertical, and I'm going to show you in just a second. We'll do some manipulation. But in a phone size, it should display in block format. Okay, And then the last one I have is my style nav for my unordered list item anchors. Okay, my display is the same thing, block here. And I may want to increase my padding a little bit. You can see, so there's not a lot of space in between here. If I want to increase, and I can leave it checked with all of it, but if I want to do 10 pixels all the way around, they spread out a little bit. So I'll let you decide. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at 10 right now, and then you can come back. And as you add items, you may have to shrink that back down to 8 or something. I chose a black color. My text align is in the center. My text decoration, that's the underline, is none. And I did a text transform of uppercase, but that is your choice. Okay, so that's just the look of it.
Did you get your navigation memo for the lakeside?
That was the float right. That's this one right here. But that's only at this large size. So if I skinny this up,
Oh, okay.
then so that's kind of, you know, when I'm below my 768, and does everybody have these little purple guys here at the top? So you've got blocks of 768 and 992. So that's where I can skinny below. So you can kind of see what happens here. As soon as I get to my 768, then it becomes a display of inline block. And then I keep going, my 992, it shoots to the right. Okay, so if you had to make any changes, let's do a file save all, just to make sure that all of our changes are made. Okay, so we did do this media query of 992 float to the right. So if you know, we're kind of back at this piece of paper here. I have the piece of paper, you have the one on screen. We did this right here. So we did get through that. You can comment on the media queries if it helps you. And we'll go here and look in just a second, but you can click on an empty row, you know, one row above the media query maybe, and then we can apply comments. So there's a little icon. And we'll go to your CG styles or whatever your styles are. And if I go down, so here's my media query. I've got 2 media queries is all. So I've got one that's beginning with my min width 768, and I've got one with my 992. And I may want to create a little bit of extra space there, so I can just, you know, enter key to make more space. And there's a little guy right here. Do you see tools to the left? So you've got the style there, and then I've got tools. I've got open documents, file management, expand all, format source code. The next one is apply comment. So I can click my little apply comment, and I can apply asterisk dot asterisk comment, for example. And click that, and this is tablet and above. I don't know. You can tell it what you want. The next one for my 992, again, I might want to create a little space, and then I can add a comment again, apply comment, add my little comment, and this is desktop and above, something like that. I don't know, whatever makes sense to you. So you can add comments to anything. If I needed to add comments to my style nav, if I want to remind myself that the unordered list item right here displays it in a vertical format so that I drill it into my head, I can add a comment that says, this will display it in vertical format for my phone, or something like that. I mean, anything that helps you or helps others working. Could be that you're a part of a team and you've added a new set of code that you want others to either learn or know that you just added or understand exactly what it is you're doing. how it affects the web. Okay, and again, whenever you make a change, it has a little asterisk there. You can do a file save all, either one there. If we go back to our index and we kind of look at what happens with our logo, and I guess that probably, yeah, desktop, I think the logo looks in small phone size, the center's okay. Maybe when I'm in my tablet, the center might be okay. But when I start getting at tablet or desktop and above, I don't know if that's maybe the best appearance. And we can even preview it, if you're kind of wondering what it looks like in, my large view. Maybe that should be shifted to the left. So, and again, I may not have that tiny little logo. I may make something that's larger. So it's probably going to depend on what you do with that logo and what's there, but we may want to float it to the left. So let's add to our 992. Again, you're in your styles. You want to be sure that you're clicking the min width 992. So styles 992, and I want to add plus sign on selector. So plus sign on selector, it knows where I'm at, so that's why it's telling me body header. I don't want a body header. I want to backspace that. Yours will say whatever it was. I want to style my logo, which happens to be period STYLE, and I think I'm hyphen logo rather than underscore, so that always matters if it's underscore or hyphen for you. And then you probably have to enter key 2 different times just to make it stay there, the name stay there. So I want it to float left, and it's kind of telling me here. So my style logo, do you see how the logo has dots around it at the top there? So my dog has little dots around it. Okay, so to get to all of my properties and I have show set checked, I have to uncheck show set to see everything. And then I want to go to float. So same thing that we've done before, but this time I want to float it left. And I don't like what it's doing right now. Did yours do something similar? And we may need to change this as we go. Did it float left? No? Okay, so we want to be, let's see where you're at too. So there.
Kind of lost this.
Let's close that down a second. So where did your other media queries go?
No, it just disappeared.
Let's go here. Good. There's your 768. And this should be above it. And let's add some space. And then next to, so we don't need all that part. So then here, we'll add a comment. So the second one there, apply comment. And then this is desktop and above. And then click inside here. And I'll just go to my cascading style sheet. I think that that would be easiest.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to my style sheet and desktop and above. So you've got, oops, oh dear.
I did that and freaked out for a second.
Yeah, they close up. You have this part, right?
Yeah.
So you want to just type dot style hyphen nav. So I'll highlight what I want you to type. Space. And then start your left curly bracket. That's a shift with the curly bracket. And then you get two of them. Enter key. And then start typing FL. And I bet you'll see float. And then you can click float, or you can type it. So this is what needs to be here. Float is going to be right. And then you'll also add that style nav float left. So I'll let you finish that. And then yours. It's so big, yeah.
And I don't know what it is.
Let's go to quick show set. Okay, it says float left. I think we'll just leave it at that. And then we'll just have to fix that. So that's okay. Okay. And you're getting yours in then? Yeah. Okay, float right. And then we do need one. Okay. Oh, get rid of that one. No, we can leave two. So let's see here. So at 992, so do you have them separated? Do you have a style nav float right and a style logo float left?
No, not this though.
So nav float right. Okay, yep, enter key there. And then dot style logo. You want dot style logo. Logo, space, curly bracket, enter key, and then float, and then left. And then your semicolon. Okay, do a file save all. Okay, and that error went away. Sometimes, so whenever you're in your cascading style sheet and you see a red number, so the numbers on the left are all gray. If you see a red one, that tells you there's an error there. Sometimes you can hold your mouse there and you might get an error, but yours went away. Oh, expected another bracket, so
Right, bracket.
and I wouldn't worry too much about. I wonder if it's missing one. Yeah, there's two. I would put one right here at 60, the right one. Okay, and then backspace to get rid of that one. And then do a file save all. Let's just see what it says. Okay, I don't see any red now. That's a good thing if we don't see red.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, we floated. Let me go back. I'm going to file save all again here so that. Okay, so if I go to my index and I look at this, so for my particular example here, again, I'm at 992. It does okay at tablet, but then when I told it to float left, I really kind of need to do some sort of a height or something on there. So I'm going to add actually a height, and I'm going to go, so the only thing I've set so far is to tell it float left. But I'm going to uncheck my show set so that I have all things at my access right now. And I'm just going to type in a height. I don't honestly remember what I had there for my height, but I'm going to try 200 pixels. So maybe I want it to be pixels and 200, and that's not going to work very well. It probably needs to be the height of my dog, and I don't remember what it was. I might be able to, I wonder if I do auto. Nope, auto is not going to help me out. Percent 100. Nope. $100 isn't good. I'm just guessing on now. Why isn't it? That is not what I'm looking for. Oh, I wonder if I added height to my header. I think I added, that's what I did. Okay, now I remember. Forget the whole height thing. So we're not going to, we styled the logo to float left. So that's it. Okay. So see, sometimes I have to think about what I did. Okay. So in smaller view, in global, we added a header for 32 pixels all the way around it. But we didn't add a height anywhere. And I think because of where the dog goes, it's okay when it's in the phone size, when it's in the tablet size, but things go haywire when it goes there, when it floats left. So what I probably need to do in my min width of 992 is increase the size of my header. So I'm going to go ahead and again, so this is outside of this document, but just to fix my little problem here, I'm going to go to my style, to my 992. I'm going to add a selector. Remember, header is a tag, so it's not just it's not a class. So I actually am going to just type header. And I'm restyling the tag, but at that 992 and above. And then I will try a height in pixels of 100. And that didn't do anything, did it? 150. Oh, it is doing something. It's just kind of slow. And it's going to depend on what yours looks like. So again, it's not going to affect anything except desktop. Now I'm going to have other content for main. I might need actually a little bit more than, so maybe I need 160. And then main goes down. Do you see what I mean by that? I'm just typing in little by little to make it grow. And it moves out around a little bit. So everybody's might be a little bit different. That may not be how we may get rid of that. This may not be in the end how we choose to fix our little problem there. Mm-hmm.
So would you, I mean, if you enlarge that, then maybe you would have to.
If I, yeah, and if I enlarge, yeah, I think it's going to depend on the height of whatever your logo is. Whatever you decide to put there. In this case, 100, I'd have something that's maybe 160 pixels. But again, I want to kind of be wary of how much space I utilize with the top. So if I make it really huge, then I'm losing real estate. If you think of your screen as real estate. So maybe what I do here is I leave my tiny logo, but maybe I'd make the name of my company a little bit bigger. And I could do that, in fact, when it got to even tablet size. Maybe I'd want to change that too. I don't know. So I haven't, maybe the only thing I'm settled on at this point is this one. And from then on, I might need to rethink that. And I may choose to float that left even on tablet and move Bodog Design so that it floats to the right. So I'd have to restyle my logo. Yeah. But at this point, you know, I've got the content there. And again, do you like this? I don't know. It's just we're adding differences so that you know that at desktop size, I can do something else with my menu. So we're just kind of going through and adding elements that are different, design that's different, just so that you know how to redesign it once you do. Because you will. Okay. So we're ready to add some content to the main area now. So what we want to do is, so go below your header area, and remember the garbage stuff that says content for new main tag goes here. I'm going to go ahead and enter. In fact, I'm going to enter a bunch so that I might enter even some more. So you don't need all these enter keys. I'm just doing that so that maybe you can see it a little better. So I've got main, and then I've got one blank line. That's all you need is one blank line. I just added a bunch so that you can see it on the screen a little bit better. Okay, and then we're going to add a row and then a column, and then we'll put some stuff in there. So remember our shortcuts? Remember that one document that we had where we can type? So I can insert a div like we did before, insert a div and call it row or call it column. But I can also do period ROW tab. Remember that? Period ROW tab. And then enter key twice, and that gives you your row. Within that, I can go ahead and tab just to move things, I guess. And then period, call, tab. And then enter key twice. Okay, and then what you type here is going to vary. You can use garbage text if you want to. So be sure that you're nested properly. So my main, I might actually move it, but I've got an opening and a closing main. Mine are moved out again just because I want you to be able to see my screen. I've got a properly nested opening and closing row. And I've got a properly nested opening and closing column. And then I've got space in between here where I'm going to start typing. Okay, so this might be my kind of heading area. How you choose to format it might be different than mine. So I'm going to be using a combination of heading 3, heading 4, and heading 1, and they may not be in the same order that you choose. But again, I'll just go ahead, we'll put stuff in here. So my first heading might be a heading 3. And again, you might do something different, but heading 3, and as soon as you close heading 3 up, you should get the start and the stop. Remember your paired tag. And then whatever you say. So I welcome to, whoopsie, I need an E. Welcome to Vizsla Dog Photography. But you can say what you want to say. And then my next line might be in heading 4. And again, I close my heading 4 and capturing the dog in all of us. I don't know. And then my heading 1 might be the company name. Nope, you can do it if you want heading 1 to be first. Yeah, you don't need to do that. So again, this is just, I'm mixing it up so that you can do whatever you want. So let's do a file save all, and then go and preview it again. So we've got a little bit of stuff here. It doesn't look very good, but we've got a little bit of stuff. And if I skinny this up to tablet, so it moves down, skinny it up to phone, moves down further. So I used all uppercase for my navigation, black, and where's my anchor? Center align text. I think it's just, and it's the nav itself. Wait, nav. what did I do with my, oh, style nav, no, where did I, oh, it's in HTML, isn't it? So I might have used, I used that Constantia or whatever, Lucida, but I wonder if mine looks different because of that too, so that might be part of it. But then it's going to look different because that's in all like uppercase, so it might be called even like small text, or I don't know. It definitely looks different. And then heading 4 or heading 3 is slightly bigger than heading 4. Heading 1 is bigger than all of them. But if I go to my font family and I change it to Gil, and then, and actually I don't even have to file, you can test them. This might be a good idea actually. I'll move myself down. So if you like the more straight look, so there's not really any text decoration. There's a little bit here of swishes, but not really. So this is a more of a sans serif style font. But you can try them all. Baskerville. And by the way, there's a little bit, so there's structure with heading, all headings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But heading 1, because it's bigger, is going to appear as though there's more space surrounding it slightly. But we're actually going to add space to separate those out because they don't look very good right now. So this is Baskerville, and again, try them all. Cambria, Consolis looks very computery. Constantia is what I'd had before, and I don't know if I like that. Gil, Gotham, don't mind that one. Kind of a taller. I would say the Gotham Helvetica has a little more height. The X height is taller. Impact. Ooh, don't like that one. Looks hard to read. Can you see that? Capturing, that's really tough to read. Probably not a good choice. Even in the heading 1 size, tough choice. Clear and Clean, Lucida, whether you like it or not, and then Segway. I don't know, maybe I like Gotham. And again, it's, you know, you look at everything in Gotham. And you may totally change your mind as we go. So that's easy for you to do. Okay, so we've previewed it. So we're going to create another little, like a box or a styling for this particular box to kind of set it off. And you can call your boxes anything. I'm going to call my first box first. So we'll go ahead and do that. So this we would want to affect everything from the telephone, the tablet, desktop, so we want it to be all of it. So you want to be sure that you have your style selected and that global is selected. Okay, so style, global, and then we're going to add a selector, and it's going to be a class. And again, wherever your cursor's at, I happen to be inside my unordered list item anchor, and it knows that and it's telling me that. So, but that's not what I need. So I'm going to call it a class, which starts with a dot, and then first. This is my first box. I can call it anything. Okay, so enter key, call it first. I want to uncheck show set because I can't see anything right at the moment. And then we can kind of go little by little and see what we like. So let's go ahead and set some padding properties. And I may want to do 20 pixels at the top for padding. And you may or may not, if I do a file save all, It's not going to update that, I don't think. Top and left, so let's do top and left 20 pixels. And let's do right at 30 pixels. And the bottom at 100 pixels. And this is again padding. File, save all. We may need to actually go and refresh. So it's set off a little bit. You can kind of see the difference here. It set us off a little bit, but not a whole lot. Okay, and then we'll keep going here, so I'm going to minimize that. Then, and this will be weird, I think I've got, yeah, we may want to not do, let's go to the text. So initially I want to do a text color of white, but so that we can see it, let's choose something else. I'm going to do something light, so CCF happens to be a really light purple. So let's tell it text color purple. And text align I might want centered. And then you can also choose, so if we kind of scroll down here, there's either a background color I can pick or a background image I can select. And if I choose a background color, so we'll just choose something here. Maybe I want to go green for whatever reason. Okay, file, save all. I'm going to change this. Okay, so why isn't it turning? Oh, I know why. Okay, so it's not affecting anything. We'll go add the class here so that we can see what's going on. Then we'll come back in. So we've got a little bit. I will change this here in just a second. We'll see what each of ours looks like. So just as a quick little summary with a box called first, dot first, we set some padding, which we may change in a minute. We defined some sort of color. We may have set an alignment. We may like it, we may not like it. And then we did some sort of a background color, crazy background color. And I am going to change mine to an image here so that you can see the difference. But what I have to do is tell it to add the class of first in order to display it. So we should be able to go and I think we can go here. So let's maybe click after call, div class call, and then press enter key. Do an insert of a div, so my insert panel, a div, and we should have one because we created the class. We should have one called first. So do you want me to do that again? So I'll cancel that. I added a little space after column. I went to my insert panel. I'm adding a div, and it's at my insertion point, and it should find first, and then okay. I don't want the garbage text, so I can get rid of the garbage text. And I also, it kind of messed up where my stuff was aligned. I don't want it to do that. But I want my ending div to be after my text. So I want it to affect all of that there. So I want to only see div class equals first, and then I want to control X to get rid of the ending div. And then after heading 1, I want to add that div back. So basically we've got, again, you can check your nesting. I've got my row properly nested, my column properly nested, and my class called first properly nested. And then you've got your headings. Okay, so let's do a file save all. And we may not like that in any way, shape, or form. So on our styles and in global, and it was called First. I'm going to get rid of, so I'm going to uncheck Show Set. And I think I've got, let me see if I've got, I don't have him there. Do I have him on Moodle? And you can kind of pick some of these other ones if you want to. Those are not the images I want. There's a water. Water would probably work. I think I'm going to have to go grab it on box. For me, box, and hopefully it's there. Technology, partner share. Nope, not that one. Spring 19. No. Okay, I think it's that one. Let's see. Okay, so if I had a file, and if you want to, for practice purposes, you can grab water. I think that would work okay. It's down here ways, I just had it. So there's water is simply just water. It's light. It would work with anything, I think, but probably not the best file for whatever you're working on. But let's say that I want to use, I found one that's a bow running. So I may want to choose this type color. We'll keep that in mind. And if you keep cruising down here, I need to get rid of the background. I don't like that background anymore. So I can trash can it. Goes away right away. There's a background image, and there's a little URL, enter path with a folder. So I can go ahead and browse for that file. And I find bow running, and then okay. But then I also need to change him to cover. And background, is it image, background size? Yeah, it's background size will be cover. So background size cover. And so that you can see what it looks like. It's short. We've got some other problems here, but if I skinny this up, you start to see more of bow. So at bigger sizes, I've got a problem. And I may want that to be right aligned. So maybe in my global first properties, I may look at this and go back up, and you can choose them on the fly, which is kind of nice. Maybe I'd like that to be right aligned rather than center aligned. And again, you can change it to whatever you want. Maybe I don't like the purple. Maybe I want white. There's the white. Sometimes it takes a minute for it to appear. And I don't know if we've already done this. I don't, let's see, no, we don't have a column. So we also want our column width to display at 100%. So let's go ahead and add just a general column. So that's in your style, in global, and then we're going to add one selector. So plus sign, and it's going to be .col. That's it. So .col, enter key to make it stick. And I want my width, very first thing, to be a percent, 100%. So it should go edge to edge, and it looks like it may have done that already. Without previewing it, I'm not sure, but it looks like it might have been at that anyway. But we'll probably need that at some point. So 100%. Okay, and then and let's see, I think, yeah, and I think by changing the height of the header, so remember we kind of worked with this already at the global size, and actually with doing nothing, this looks better at this size. We're going to change this a little bit. Kind of goes over the top of Bo, which is a bummer, but we'll adjust it. But the logo at the top is sized okay according to everything. When I go to tablet, again, nothing's running into my image or anything else. And I think by changing the size of that, and I just guessed at about, the 160, again, yours is going to probably vary than mine, but it's not running into. So if I took that 160 out, this image would be pushing, or whatever, one would push into the other. Does that make sense? So I created that space in the header so that it wouldn't push one into the other. And again, could there be other ways to do that? Most likely there are, but that's one way. Okay, so some other things we'll do, and we're doing okay on, oh, are we almost out of time? Holy cow. I do want to do one. Let's do one of these just so that you know how, and then we'll come back and do some more. So in your style, in global, we're going to add a selector for heading 1, because we all probably are using an H1, right? And then OK to that, and you might have to click a couple of times on that. So let's say we want, and it'll be in the T area, so I can simply click T. So let's say that our font size, we want to be, let's see, how about 40 pixels? So we can go to pixel, and then we can say 40, enter key. So automatically you see that becoming quite large. Okay. Maybe we want, so text transform, again, I could adjust that. Text transform is a little bit down there, but do I want that to be all uppercase, or do I like it the way it was? So again, you can choose, or all lowercase. So again, I think everybody has a choice for their particular example. The font weight is going to be in the T area, and you'll see it's right above font size. So the font weight, maybe we want it about 200, and you may or may not see a difference. I did see a difference there. It kind of shrunk it down a little bit. And maybe I want my margins to adjust. So I can go up to my margins, and again, it's kind of at the top here, but margins, let's say we want the margin at the bottom to be 60 pixels. And that shows more of the dog. And maybe we want my margin right to be 20 pixels. And that ends up pushing it left of my edge of my screen. And we might even want something like a text shadow. So clear down at the bottom, and I'll click on these again so that you can see. So maybe my text shadow, I want something like little, like maybe 3 pixels, And you should see a little bit of a difference here in a minute. 3 pixels, and then maybe again for the V shadow, 3 pixels. And then 5 pixels for the blur. And then maybe my color, instead of being white, maybe I want it to be black. So it's kind of like a little drop shadow. So I'm going to click Show Set. And my margin at the top, I'm not going to set a margin at the top, but if I did, I could do 20 pixels. Look what it did. But I can also set a bottom margin for my heading 1. So if I want, or my heading 4, but remember that H1 affects everything. So if I don't want there to be 20 pixels above every single use of H1, I don't want that. So I probably want to trash can any top margin that I have on heading 1. I'm going to handle it a different way. But the right, you know, maybe I'm okay offsetting it a little bit from an edge. The bottom, it allowed me to see more of the dog. And we're going to change some of these other ones too, so heading 3 and heading 4. But if all you have is heading 1 here, now remember, every single heading 1 is going to have a bottom margin of 60 pixels. So you have to keep that in mind as you're changing your settings. I did a font weight of something different just to see what it looks like. I can increase my size if I want, leave it at 40 pixels. The little shadow just created a tiny drop shadow. And I did that with the H, the V, the blur, and a color. And then you can choose whether or not you like the text transform. So we'll stop and save here today. File, save all.